Tim, welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Breitling for Bentley Flying Bee Chronograph, a mighty 58mm lug-to-lug by 40.5mm wide. This polished stainless steel automotive-inspired extrovert manages to combine the unlikely qualities of extravagance and refinement. But then again, a Bentley does combine opulence with a sporting flair, so maybe it's possible to pull off. Let's take a look. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this watch, again, almost 60mm lug to lug, pushes the limits and then probably a little bit beyond of my wrist. Almost 17mm thick with heft to match. This watch has a brass knuckle visual punch, and quite frankly, it's designed for burlier forearms than mine. I could wear this on my ankle, and if that sounds like your wrist, I've got your watch. Immense presence. The use of the full polish and the multiple facets means that this one plays with tremendous presence and real flair despite the lack of any gold, any gem insets. The bottom line is that this watch is a pure design triumph. It doesn't need any help from colored gold or inset diamonds to pull off a visual coup. If you're looking for something with the presence of a 44mm Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Shore or an Hublot King Power, but with Breitling reliability and precision, the bottom line is that, again, this is your watch. The Flying Bee Chronograph has incredible levels of detailing and considered design refinements that really set it apart from something that's merely big. It's big and fine, like a Bentley Brooklyn's coupe, for instance. The bottom line is that this watch uses faceting rather than contrasting finishes to create a dramatic visual effect, and you can see that to good effect on the side of the case as well as the hoods of the lugs and the ends of the lugs. Now, polished on the top around the bezel, you can see the way light plays dramatically against this watch as you move it through the ambient lighting conditions. This watch is always alive, always dynamic. It's always catching a glint, a glimmer. It's letting its luster be known, and it's doing it all, again, without any vulgar excess. The watch is big, but it's also beautiful, and that continues in the strap that Breitling fits. Now, alligator rectangular scale black on the top with a contrasting hand-stitched square cut on the side, and you can really see how sheer and thick that side layer is. You can see how heavily bolstered this strap is as it approaches the junction with the lugs, and how that allows the watch to visually flow from one element to the other without any real disruption. In spite of its size, it's not abrupt. It tapers from one side to the other, and the spacing of the lugs is excellent as it allows the strap to be a reasonable proportion of the side of the case. So even here, there's a good deal of taper from the crown guards and the flanks of the case. You saw that fastening on the side. It pinches inward and it collapses into the strap and flows outward. Now, the deployant clasp is of equal quality, very much on par with the finishing of the case. It's also on par with the substance of the case, being very tough and very resilient, polished on both sides for good effect. The bottom line is that this watch allows Breitling to pull off yet another visual coup, inasmuch as the strap, you'll notice, has no perforations for a pin buckle, nor does the other side have any minder loops. Now, minder loops tend to age quickly. They always look awkward, and a lot of times they're the first element of a strap to fail with time because they're so much thinner than the rest of the material. Well, Breitling does away with them, both their visual clutter and their status as a limiting factor in the shelf life and service life of your strap. What Breitling does is create a clasp, and I'm going to open it up here. It's a very robust piece. Creates a clasp that has an underslung support for any excess strap, so it fits in and under and then collapses to create the seamless look of the best pin buckles, but with the security and quality and substance of a deployant clasp. Now, topside, Breitling continues the theme of substance with a dial that is simply radiant. You can see the engine-turned guilloche of each of the 3 sub-registers on the dial. Each one has depth, each one has facets, and each one has a base texture. And as we move outwards, we see that the visual interest only increases on this watch. You can see the clou de Paris cut, the diamond plate, evocative of vintage Breitling gas pedals, clutch pedals, brake pedals, floor pans and running boards from the golden era of the Bentley boys in the 1920s and the 1930s. Beautiful broadsword hands, high polish with inset loom, and a double-digit grand date at 12 o'clock. You can see there's an Art Deco style, sharp, angular train track minute scale around the interior dial, and it gives way to a beautiful matte black base with polished applied indices and Roman numerals for the hours that have an additional trick up their sleeves. Mother of pearl inset in each one of these indices, and of course the Roman numeral 12 at 12. There's incredible detailing here when you get beyond the macro and you get down to the cut of that center dial. The detailing and the resolution of the concentric circular guilloche on each one of these sub-registers. You can barely see it from here, but you can see it in the high-res photos on our website. There are actual skeletonized elements for each of the hands of the subdials, and then of course you move outward, you see the red shock of the chronograph seconds hand. Let's get that in motion for good effect. You can see the maroon color for high contrast at the double digital date, and of course that mother of pearl with its rainbow-like overtones. As you move it through the light, you'll see elements of violet, of green, of blue, of yellow, and of course the dominant white pearlescent tone of mother of pearl. The bottom line is that this watch in so many ways is more than just a big fellow. This is in many ways like a heavyweight champion wearing a Brooks Brothers suit, or something big, luxurious, and fine like a Bentley Brooklands coupe. Beautifully done in every aspect. There's a lot of it, and in every aspect of it, there's a lot of love, detail, craft. This is a wonderful piece in so many ways, and because it is a Breitling, and because it is a steel watch, easily refinished if the worst happens, it offers outstanding value over comparable Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshores, Hublot Big Bang, and King Power models. And because you're getting a COSC certified Swiss chronometer movement, you're getting a lot of mechanical refinement in addition to the aesthetic merits of this watch. Now, the caliber itself is what Breitling calls the caliber 44. So COSC certified, so no more than -4 or +6 seconds of variation in a 24-hour period. It also features a vertical clutch chronograph module. So in addition to fitting the king of complications, the chronograph, and an extremely legible grand or big double-digit date, you get the ability to flexibly run your chronograph continuously. If you prefer constant center seconds, that's one of the refinements you get from having a vertical clutch module on the basic movement. You're not going to wear it out by running the chronograph continuously as you would with a conventional lateral clutch chronograph that has a separate gear train to wear down. And because the watch features automatic winding, it's essentially set it and forget it. If you wear this every day, and with a combination of white metal and black tones, it's really quite versatile if you've got the wrist to pull it off. This could be your only watch, and it's even got elements you may never have expected in a sports-styled car-themed watch, like 100-meter water resistance. There is a screw-down crown, so 100 meters, 330 feet of water resistance. It's what you get from a Rolex twin lock in an oyster case. So Breitling really has all of its bases covered with this Breitling for Bentley Flying Bee chronograph. I'll show you the case back here. High polish like the rest of the watch, and it pays tribute to the namesake of the watch. Not Bentley so much as the winged Bentley logo, better known as the Flying Bee. Naturally acknowledging Breitling for Bentley and the fact that this is a Swiss-manufactured, certified chronometer. The Breitling for Bentley Flying Bee chronograph is an awful lot of watch. I'm not going to lie, it's probably too much watch for my wrist, but if you're that guy who feels like he just can't find a watch that's big enough, if you think a Panerai Luminor is too small and a King Power barely gets it done, if you have an eye for value but you like your big watches to be fine as well as big, then the Breitling for Bentley Flying Bee chronograph offers the best of all possible worlds for you. And with inlaid mother of pearl on its dial, with that diamond plate center dial, with a COSC certified chronometer chronograph movement, 100-meter water resistance, the fastening of this case and the presence of this watch on your wrist, you're going to find a match made in heaven in the Breitling for Bentley Flying Bee chronograph, available on our website, Watch You Want.